churning expanse of the western Pacific Ocean had, by the late hours of September 22, 2025, given birth to a monster. What began as a cluster of thunderstorms coalescing around a low-pressure area had undergone a terrifying metamorphosis, a process of explosive intensification that meteorologists watched with a mixture of professional awe and profound dread. Named Ragasa by the Japan Meteorological Agency and acquiring the local designation Nando as it entered the Philippine area of responsibility, the storm had achieved the ominous status of super typhoon. Its perfectly formed, menacing eye, starkly visible on satellite imagery, was the calm center of a catastrophic vortex of wind and water. With sustained wind speeds exceeding 260 kilometers per hour, equivalent to a Category 5 hurricane on the Saffir-Simpson scale. This atmospheric titan was on a collision course with millions of people, charting a path that threatened a devastating trifecta: the northern Philippines, the entirety of Taiwan, and the densely populated southern coast of mainland China, specifically the economic powerhouse of Guangdong Province. The forecast was not merely for a storm, but for a multi-day transnational disaster. The first nation in its path, the Philippines, began its grim and practiced ritual of preparation. In the northern provinces of Cagayan and Batanes, the idyllic coastal scenery of rolling hills and pristine beaches stood in stark contrast to the palpable sense of impending doom. On September 23rd, the Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Services Administration, PAGASA, raised storm signal number 4 and then number 5, the highest possible alert for the northernmost islands. This was not a warning to be taken lightly. It signified the expectation of widespread destruction, a force capable of uprooting mature trees, toppling electrical posts, and tearing roofs from even well-built structures. The national government, through the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, NDRRMC, initiated its zero-casualty policy, a hopeful ambition in the face of such a formidable foe. The order for forced evacuations was given. Along the Cagayan River, which has a tragic history of catastrophic flooding, communities packed their most precious belongings into waterproof bags. Local government units dispatched aging military trucks and commandeered buses to ferry tens of thousands of residents from low-lying coastal areas and landslide-prone mountainsides to the relative safety of reinforced school gymnasiums and civic centers.
Thousands of people in the Philippines are evacuating their homes amid a massive storm.
The scenes were a heartbreaking tableau of resilience and fear. Farmers securing the tethers on their carabao, fishermen hauling their boats far inland, and mothers clutching their children, their faces etched with the anxiety of uncertainty. All air and sea travel in northern Luzon was halted. The normally bustling ports of Apari and Santa Ana fell silent, their waters cleared of the fishing vessels that provide the region's lifeblood. Coast Guard vessels, instead of patrolling for illicit activities, were now positioned for swift search and rescue operations. In Tuguegarao City, businesses boarded up their windows, and schools became temporary homes for the displaced, the the cheerful murals on classroom walls a jarring backdrop to the grim reality unfolding. As Ragasa churned past the Philippines, its northern eye wall brushing the Batanes Islands with terrifying force, all eyes turned to Taiwan. Positioned in the direct path of the super typhoon, the island nation braced for a direct hit. By September 24th, the Central Weather Administration of Taiwan had issued a land and sea warning for the entire country. The government's response was a model of efficiency, born from decades of experience with powerful typhoons. In Taipei, the roar of the wind had not yet begun, but the city was already transforming. Workers scrambled to clear storm drains of debris, and massive sandbags appeared around the entrances of the Taipei metro and underground shopping arcades. In the mountainous regions of Hualien and Taitung on the east coast, areas renowned for their dramatic landscapes, the threat was twofold: the typhoon's ferocious winds and the certainty of torrential. Authorities issued stark warnings of catastrophic landslides and flash floods. Residents in remote mountain villages were ordered to evacuate, a process complicated by winding, narrow roads that would soon become impassable. The military was mobilized, with soldiers deploying to vulnerable areas with inflatable boats, heavy machinery, and emergency supplies. Schools and offices were ordered to close nationwide for September 25th. The Taiwan Stock Exchange announced it would not open. Hundreds of international and domestic flights were preemptively canceled, turning Taoyuan International Airport into a cavernous, quiet haul of stranded travelers. The high-speed rail service that connects the populous West Coast was suspended. The focus was on preservation of life, a complete and total shutdown of normal activity to mitigate the coming impact. Coastal areas, especially in the low-lying southwestern plains around Kaohsiung and Tainan, faced the additional threat of a massive storm surge, with forecasts predicting a sea level rise of 3 to 5 meters, a wall of water that would inundate coastal homes, aquaculture farms, and industrial parks. Leaving a trail of destruction in Taiwan, the slightly weakened but still formidable Typhoon Ragasa set its sights on its final target, the southern coast of China. The China Meteorological Administration issued its highest-level red alert for Guangdong Province, a manufacturing and shipping hub home to over 126 million people. The immense scale of the impending crisis prompted a colossal mobilization of resources. The primary concern was the Pearl River Delta, a sprawling, low-lying megalopolis that includes the cities of Guangzhou, Shenzhen, and Hong Kong. The threat of a storm surge here was existential. By the evening of September 25th, one of the largest mass evacuations in recent history was underway. Provincial authorities ordered the evacuation of more than 2 million people from coastal and low-lying areas. In cities like Zhuhai and Shanwei, the streets emptied as residents moved to inland shelters, or the homes of relatives on higher Zhuhai-Macau Bridge, one of the world's longest sea crossings, was closed to traffic. All fishing vessels along the sprawling Guangdong coastline were ordered back to port, creating a dense forest of masts in harbors. The boats lashed together to weather the coming onslaught. The economic disruption was staggering. Factories in Shenzhen and Dongguan, which produce a significant portion of the world's electronics, ceased operations. The ports of Guangzhou and Hong Kong, two of the busiest in the world, halted all activities, with massive container ships moved to safer anchorages. The airports in Hong Kong, Shenzhen, and Guangzhou canceled thousands of flights, severing the region's connection to the global transport network. In Hong Kong, the city's iconic skyline was set to be battered. The Hong Kong Observatory prepared to issue its hurricane signal number, 10, the highest storm warning. Businesses closed, the stock market was suspended, and the usually vibrant streets of Central and Tsim Tsui became eerily deserted. The city's extensive public transport system was shut down, and residents in vulnerable areas like the fishing village of Tai O were moved to temporary shelters. The collective breath of an entire region was held in suspense, waiting for the fury of Ragasa to finally make its landfall and unleash its devastating power upon the land. The human cost was already mounting, but the full extent of the damage across three nations remained to be seen as the super typhoon spun relentlessly onward. That's the latest on Super Typhoon Ragasa. Stay safe, everyone. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more critical updates.